Dimmock has named an exciting youthful set of backs. Their average age is 21. Fatuli Talanoa is at full-back, and Cooper Vuna, Michael Jennings, Eto Eseli, Essi Tonga, Feletti Matteo and Joel Tafeo make up the rest of the backs. The Tongan pack, however, is vastly experienced. Half ply their trade in Super League, half in NRL. Melbourne Storm's Antonio Kafusi joins Wakefield's Tavita Leolatu and Matsi Manakofo in the front row. The captain, Lapini Pai, Richard Faeso and Hull FC's Willie Manu make up the pack. On the bench, there's Samoa, Epalami Luaki, brother of all backs Sione, Kimi Uasi and Tony Williams. For Ireland, Andy Kelly names Bradford Bulls' Michael Platt at full-back, Damien Blanche, Sean Gleeson, cousin of England's Martin, Stuart Littler, Super League's leading point scorer Pat Richards, captain Scott Griggs and Carl Fitzpatrick make up a backline that contains 3 Wakefield Wildcats. And up front, there's Eamon O'Carroll, Bob Bezic, Ryan Tandy, the only man in the 17 who plays in the NRL, Ben Harrison, Lee Doran and Simon Finnegan. On the bench, there's Mike McIlorum, Liam Finn, Gareth Haggerty and the elder statesman Mick Cassidy, who played in the 1995 World Cup final for England with Martin. Well, without further ado, let's cross to our commentary team in Parramatta. Phil Clark, Mike Stevenson and Bill Arthur.
And first up, the national anthems.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome back on the stage
Ireland, sung by
Kevin Kelly.
Kevin Kelly, and the Tongan anthem will be sung by Joseph Vai. Done by Kevin Kelly, just accompanied by his brethren out there on the field, and he'll now make way for the Tongan anthem sung by Joseph Vai now.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, to perform the national anthem of Tonga, please welcome Joseph Vai.
So the game can now get underway, and the Irish have been waiting. They've been in Australia for 10 days now, getting on for 2 weeks in actual fact, and they are really chomping at the bit to get into action. They've had 5 days at the Australian Institute of Sport in Narrabeen on the outskirts of Sydney. They've been down in Parramatta for the last week or so preparing for this game, and before they can get going, they're going to have to face the Tongan haka.
Might be better standing back 10 metres because they're pretty big, those guys in red, and the closer they get to them, I think the worse this is going to look.
Kupavuna leading that Tongan haka, and the Irish standing their ground. The question now is, can they stand their ground out there on the field? Because this is a tall order. You could see just from that haka the size of this Tongan side. There's some big guys out there, Phil.
Well, they've certainly been built for power, haven't they? And I think it'll be a powerful start from the Tongan outfit here. Great expectation in the Tongan community around Sydney that they will perform here, and they'll put on a real show against this Irish side. And they will receive possession. I've no doubt this will be a long and high kick-off from Pat Richards to start the Irish World Cup campaign. And you can bet your bottom dollar there's going to be somebody charging on this, whether it could be Kafusi or Mana Fakoa.
Well, the Irish written off ahead of this competition. Samoa and Tonga, the strongest sides in their group. Well, everybody's been written off in this competition now after Australia's performance last night. Headlines like, hand the trophy over now. But Tonga and Ireland have their part to play in the competition, and they're underway here in Parramatta on the western fringes of Sydney. A beautiful evening. The sun's setting. It's been a very hot day, and Ireland thankful to see the shadow creeping across the field as they warmed up. It's Tonga in possession first off, and showing their intentions early on as well, giving the ball a little bit of air. It bounces its way to Essie Tonga, and Damien Blanche will make the tackle. But an indication there, Phil, of how the Tongans are going to approach this game.
And also how Ireland, I think, have identified their best chance of defending. They compressed the middle, didn't they? They expected some big red jerseys to be charging at them. But good intelligence from Felita Mateo. I think we'll see a lot of the number 6, one of the most creative players in Australian Rugby League. Just look as how he will offload the ball as the game progresses.
Antonio Kafosi with that thundering drive, and then it is Mateo who put the kick in, once familiar to London Broncos supporters earlier on in his career. And it's Michael Platt who'll run this ball back, the Bradford Bulls fullback. First touch for him. He'll be glad to get his hands on the ball. They'll be glad to get into the action with these Irish players after the time spent in preparation in and around Sydney. And they get the penalty. Steve Ganson, the referee, in charge tonight.
And that's a good result for Ireland at this stage in the game. It means that they'll get up towards the halfway line. See the penalty here, a high shot. Steve Ganson just identifying that on Michael Platt. Holding down in the tackle.
It has been a problem in the past, the discipline from Tonga. And also, a week ago when they had the trial game against the Kiwis, of course, they had no less than 57 missed tackles. They can't afford to do that, and that is more problems for them.
They get another penalty. Again, I think it was interference. So, Steve Ganson already identifying one or two flaws in the Tongan discipline. They have made an impact, Tonga, in Parramatta, even before this game kicked off. Their team bus reversing into an innocent motorist outside the ground as the team arrived. I don't think the car did very well out of that, and Ireland hoping not to be on the receiving end here. In fact, they're dishing it out at the moment. This penalty taking them into the danger zone for the first time in the game. They play the ball on that 10-metre line. Ryan Tandy it was. And here's Fitzpatrick wearing the 7 for Ireland. Of course, familiar to the Salford City Red supporters in the full-back role. But he did play in the half-backs the last time he played an international for Ireland in 2005. That's not a good pass, and that's going to go out of play. And Sean Gleeson looks infield and says, what was going on there?
Well, a lack of cohesion, isn't it, between outside backs. Players who haven't played enough together. Griggs throws the ball.
Nice and quick. Come on.
It goes in between both Gleeson and Platt. Neither of them went for the ball.
Griggs and Gleeson are club mates, but they weren't on the same wavelength there.
That's going to be a problem, Bill. The fact that Scott Griggs and Carl Fitzpatrick, they've never played in the half-back position together. This will be the first chance, and it doesn't look healthy when you go out and they've got to get the ball out wide.
That's Talanoa, but that's good defence from the Irish. Gleeson trying to redeem himself. Well, he didn't really have to redeem himself, but he was in there with the tackle. Jim Dimmock's side then over the 30-metre line. Another London connection there. Dimmock, here's Tavita Leolato, another one of the Wakefield players out there, dishing the ball up.
Third, keep walking back, hold.
Well, Ireland are committing 4 men to their defence, but then in fact losing the ruck, and it's allowing Leolatu to get up, split the markers, and again they've easily made 30 metres down that middle channel of the field.
Kafosi is tackled just inside the Irish half. Here's Willie Manu, Hull's representative out there. Oh, Manu, a great offload, gets it away to Leolatu, a bit of Super League combination there. That's the 5th tackle. It'll be Felipe Mateo who'll put the kick up. Platt is underneath it. He's got time underneath. He's lost the ball, and Blanche to the rescue. But Blanche won't get out of jail there. The chaser's there to pin him down. So the first tester for Michael Platt, and he got in a bit of a tangle.
Well, an excellent kick from Felipe Mateo. He positioned himself well, but it just bounced off his chest. Was in fact contact involved, and he'd been very relieved that Damien Blanche was there along to help out. But this will be now the first test of Ireland's goal line defence. Tonga, you'd imagine, will get 6 charges at it here. And they've actually made a change. They've put probably the most exciting player on this field tonight, Michael Jennings, wearing the number 3 to fullback. This is a massive kick, though.
That's a booming kick from underneath those posts. And Tonga retrieved the ball on their own 10-metre line.
Well, this is the guy I think we'll look out for tonight. Michael Jennings with the ball. Only Billy Slater made more breaks than him in the NRL last year. And by playing at fullback, I think we'll see the best of him in attack.
Yes. Jennings, that's great defence from the Irish. Great defence from the Irish. Bricks and Blanche doing the job. And nowhere for Esi Tonga to go there.
Well, I'll tell you what, all on the back of what an outstanding goal line dropout. It inspired his teammates to come up with that second effort in defence. And Eamon O'Carroll and the rest of the forwards are pretty pleased that they're now not having to defend, but just simply pack down for this scrum.
Well, it's Ireland's head and feet at the scrum. And that's a great result for them. Some terrific defence. But we saw a hint of the threat of Michael Jennings, this youngster who was very nearly called up by Australia, wearing number 3 for the Tongans. It's Ireland who are in possession, though. It's Ben Harrison who takes the tackle. The Warrington youngster. Bezic, big tackle on Bezic.
Hold here, hold, go.
Here's Tandy now. Fitzpatrick just has to check.
Okay.
Finnegan was taken out off the ball there for the Irish as he tried to join in. Bezic, Grix, it's a pass almost went astray. Duran did well to keep a hold of that. That's the 5th tackle. They go down the short side. Gleeson trying to keep it alive. Bezic will stab the kick in, but it's comfortably fielded by Tavita Leolatu, and he'll run the ball back in field.
Well, there's a massive difference, wasn't there, between the kicks that ended both sets. Tonga downfield kicked it high, and they ended up forcing the mistake with the goal line dropout. A very simple turnover of a possession for Ireland, and I think Andy Kelly from the coaching box will try to identify they have to be better, more dangerous and more threatening when it comes to last tackle plays.
Manu Kafoa it was who played that ball. Here's Jennings, and Jennings is away. This youngster showing his pace. A dummy from him. He's beaten one. He's still going. Jennings gets the pass away, and then they make a mess of it. There's an Irish player down in black play.
Well, that was a gift, wasn't it, for Wassily? And what play by Michael Jennings. Sheer quality. Ireland going far too high. They've got to go for this lad's legs. Look at that swinging arm, but what about the offload? And Wassily knows it should have been the first try of the game.
But a hint there of the danger of Michael Jennings. I was talking to Nigel Wright outside the ground before the game, who spent 4 years working at Penrith before coming back to England, of course, moving on to Warrington to join the coaching staff there. But he worked with Jennings as a youngster and said he is one of the most exciting players on the blocks at the moment. Could have been called up to Australia when Hodges was pulled out, and has already played for the junior Kangaroos in actual fact, but here he is playing for Tonga. But it's Ireland on the attack at the moment.
They're starting now just to stretch this defence around. A mistake in their own half at this level will be costly.
And they've made the mistake. And now they have to defend, and Tonga will pick the ball up deep in Irish territory. It's with Tony Williams. It's Mana Kafoa, I beg your pardon, who was a late change to this Tongan side. Owen Guttenbeil being forced to pull out because of a knee problem. So Mana Kafoa into the starting lineup. On the charge is Richard Faioso, once of the Castleford Tigers. Faioso stopped just short. Leo Latu now. Oh, and Lapini Beer just trying to stretch out for the try line, couldn't quite get there, the captain. Great defence from the Irish right on their own try line, but they are under real pressure here now. Ball out wide to Wassile. Wassile still going, gets the ball to Jennings. Jennings ducks under one challenge. Jennings under the posts. Well, almost made it to under the post, but he's got the first try of the game, and the danger man, living up to his reputation, Michael Jennings, but it was Etu Wassile who helped create that, his centre partner, and Ireland pay the price for squandering possession inside their own half.
And it all came about from the mistake by the prop forward, Eamon O'Carroll. And they've allowed Tonga, and I think we've seen in the very few opening minutes that Tonga have got far superiority in the skill factors. This is outstanding. Throwing the dummy, hanging back, beats 5 men. Super stuff.
Well, there it is. I think we've seen the rising star of this World Cup here, and that's inside the first 10 minutes of this game, the first game in this group. But Michael Jennings just appears to be world class. He's a level above everybody else on the field at the moment, and you can see how excited his teammates are to play with him and how proud he is to pull on the Tongan jersey.
Just 20 years of age, Michael Jennings. He was Penrith's top try scorer in 2008 with 12 tries, and he's got his first World Cup try now. And Ireland with a bit to think about. They know, well, they knew before the game that they couldn't afford to gift possession to this Tongan side, but that's what happens when you do, especially deep inside your own half. So Joel Tarfo with this conversion attempt. He's currently playing amateur rugby league in the Adelaide area, but called into this Tongan side surprisingly, partially for his kicking ability, and that's why, because he's landed that conversion, and Tonga ahead by 6 points to 0 here in Parramatta.
Well, it's a replication of what Australia did so well in their opening game against New Zealand. Get close to opponent's line and then move the ball around with accurate, skillful passing and some pace on the end of it.
They were caught out, the Ireland defence. They really just pushed over onto that left-hand side. Jimmy Dimmock will be very pleased with the opening few sets. I make the point, Bill, is the fact that as against the Kiwis, 57 missed tackles, and it's something that Dimmock has been working on very, very hard over the last 7 days, and it seems to be paying off for them.
So Ireland trying to contain Tonga at this stage from the restart. Kafusi with a big charge on the first hit, and then they come again, the Tongans. They've already had a partial victory today, Tonga, as we heard before the kick-off. They went to court this morning to try and get Fui Moi Moi and Taniela Tiaki declared eligible to play this evening. Well, they didn't get that from Mr. Justice White, but he did say that once they get past November the 12th, those two will be eligible, because it'll be 12 months since they last represented New Zealand. So if they do make progress in this competition, they can look forward to fielding Moi Moi and Tuiaki. They've got enough to be going on with for Ireland tonight. Here's Damien Blanch, and again he's struggling to get out of his own in-goal area. He won't do that. There'll be another goal line dropout.
What a perfect set. After scoring a try, 5 powerful charges got them up and over the halfway line. And then the accuracy and the length on this kick really was perfect. But I think the thing we don't see as the players come flooding in was the intensity of the chase. At the highest level of rugby league, players sprint when they're chasing the ball downfield, and the Tongan teammates did that to complement the kick from Feliti Matea.
Good work by the winger Damien Blanch. It's the second occasion he's had to come along and sweep up. Michael Platt being very, very nervous in these opening few minutes, the full back.
Well, Pat Richards got tremendous distance with his last goal line dropout, and that's not a bad one either, into the Tongan half. But it comes roaring back in the hands of Antonio Kafusi. And Kafusi tackled just over the 40-metre line. That looked forward from Tavita Leolatu to, it was Manase Manakofoa.
But that spells danger for Ireland. You can see that they're not moving up. They're hanging back. They're wondering what on earth they're going to come up with. And I'll tell you what, it's good quality. He's got them for obstruction. Utilise the man running in front. And Steve Ganson. And the hooker, Tavita Latu, said, you've got to be kidding.
It's a lovely play. They just execute it wrong, don't they? Manu goes through, and the referee says that's obstruction. But you could see that working more with Talanoa as well, drifting, staying out wide of the number 1 jersey. Excellent kick to touch here, though, from Ireland. I think Pat Richards has really made a mark in Super League this year with the ground he makes when kicking downfield, and it gives Ireland a view of the Tongan try line.
And that's a good first charge with the ball by Ryan Tandy. Tandy plays the ball, and now it's with Grix. Grix for Eamon O'Carroll. O'Carroll trying to spin away from the first challenge, the Wigan man, but he's brought down. Bezic. Fitzpatrick now. Fitzpatrick darting through a gap. Almost found open space there, did the Irish scrum half. But this is a good opportunity for them. Littler now. Ben Harrison. Harrison trying to take him on. Gets the ball away to Bezic. Bezic for Eamon O'Carroll. O'Carroll underneath those posts, but then driven back. But this is good from Ireland. 4 tackles gone. They're right in front of those posts now. Grix fires the pass out. It's Tandy. Tandy trying to get away from the challenge of Talanoa. That's the 5th tackle. Needs to be a good kick from the Irish, but this is encouraging for them. It's with Fitzpatrick. He goes to the air. The pressure is on, and it's a knock on, says Steve Ganson.
Yeah, I think Richards just got a fingertip to it, but that is an opening key for this Irish side. Kick into the corner. He doesn't look all that happy, does he? Richards, such a tall man, definitely got the fingertip first.
Well, he's changed his mind, actually. The referee, it will be a goal line dropout. And you play to your strengths in sport. One of Ireland's strengths today are high kicks to Pat Richards, who's one of the best players high in the air at taking those. He didn't take the ball, but he's ended up winning possession back here, I think, for his teammates.
Had a chance, mate.
So that's a positive for the Irish, forcing their first goal line dropout.
Okay.
Now then, can Fileti Matteo get the same sort of distance? Well, he's not quite reached the halfway line. And it's Fitzpatrick who decides to take him on it. Oof, that looked high. It was high. And it was his opposite number, Taufo, I think, who was responsible for that.
Captain. Who's the captain?
And Steve Ganson wants a word with somebody. He's called over the captain, Lapini Bayan.
All right, okay, but you can't have contact around.
Tell you what, though, you've got to be impressed with Carl Fitzpatrick there. Running at the line, Jonathan Thurston did it so well for Australia, and now here, Carl Fitzpatrick's doing the same for Ireland. Take on defenders. Okay, you might get a crack around the head. Sometimes you're going to get through.
Well, that penalty gives Ireland an opportunity to again test this Tongan defence. And it was Eamon O'Carroll who drove the ball in. Now here's Tandy, and the Irish supporters on the far side of the ground. Well, Tandy lost that ball, I think.
Oh, that was forward as well.
That was forward. Well, he's got one of them, Steve Ganson, and Bob Bezic grimaces in frustration there with that pass. Holds his hand up. Just a slight misjudgment from the Irish hooker.
Well, Andy Kelly will be furious with this. Good opportunity. Even if they didn't have scored a try on that occasion, they have to calm down, build their confidence, make sure they get through the sets of 6 and apply some sort of pressure.
Okay, mate. Tight.
It is a problem for the players from Tonga in regards to their defence. They love having the ball in their hands, but when it comes down to hard work, they often can be somewhat shy.
Just as though Sam Moa was ready to come on for the Tongans. And they get a penalty. And their first of the game, ironic cheers from the Tongan supporters. Stuart Littler not pleased about that decision.
Well, the last minute has been awful really for Ireland. You only get somebody to play the ball close to your opponent's line in rugby league. They've wasted one so easily with the forward pass. Now they've helped their opponents to get out of their own end of the field with a penalty. And it's just, at the end of the game, if you look back and have lost the match, it's the little things together combined that end up draining the energy from the Irish effort.
Big charge, big roar. It was the first involvement of Sam Moa, but in fact, the Irish defence stood firm. They're not doing so this time. And Feluti Talanoa gets the ball away, but they've lost that. And it's a knock-on. So again, just a little bit headstrong from the Tongans there.
Well, it's obvious watching the Tongan squad just how powerful they are, but there would be a question mark over the stamina. If Ireland can make this a 70 or 80 minute contest, they really give themselves a chance.
No.
And the pass was a bit ambitious. In the end, Essie Tonga got to it for Tonga, but too late. And Ireland will get head and feet at the scrum, and they'll be very satisfied with that, because that was, again, threatening from the Tongans. Fitzpatrick now. Here is Littler. veteran of the Salford side, but that's not a good pass from him. On the first tackle,
it was never on. He really should have gone to ground with that one, and you can see how the Tonga players are just getting over that advantage again. Ireland, Canada fought. Oh, bad pass.
Cooper Vuna couldn't take the pass from Joel Taufau. He was always stretching for that. A shake of the head from the winger, the Newcastle Knight.
Andy Kelly has to sort this out, Bill, because look at the Irish defence. They're taking one step and then stopping.
Come on, boys.
You can't allow this side to have all that space. Okay, they've come up with the error on two occasions, but they're going to suffer, the Irish, if they don't get it sorted out in that defensive line.
Well, one of those is going to stick soon for the Tongans.
Yeah, Ireland can't afford to concede possession inside their own half as they've done now. Twice they've done it inside this opening quarter. And if they continue to do that, well, I think very soon that scoreboard will start to tick against them.
It's Littler. This time he keeps a hold of the ball inside his own 30. Oof, that was ambitious, and that's another high shot. It was. And Steve Ganson, with that purposeful stride of his, he's had enough. He's summoned somebody over.
I think
It'll be Antonio Kafusi.
Yeah.
You're the captain, mate. Yeah.
There was an Irish player taken out off the ball there.
Mate, the ball's well gone, and you're putting straight on his backside. Any more, I'm going to take stronger action. Now, I've warned you. I'm telling you again.
Kafusi
It's up down to you now, mate. It's back here, mate.
Well, they're renowned for the physicality of their play, but that was a little bit too physical for Steve Ganson's liking. And that's a blessed relief for this Irish side, a penalty that takes them just about up to the halfway line.
Look at that, the penalty count of 5-1 in favour of the Irish side is helping them to stay in this contest. Physically, the Tongan side are more powerful than them, but again, getting upfield here with the assistance from the referee.
And it's Ryan Tandy who'll play the ball, once of Widnes and Whitehaven. Here's Michael Platt. 3 in the tackle for Tonga. Lee Doran, a great first season at Lee, just gone. Bezic, that's the 5th tackle. Now the last kick caused problems for this Tongan defence. What will we have this time? Well, it's a nice diagonal kick, but nobody on the same wavelength as Bob Bezic there. Seen him do that so many times in the National League season gone to good effect as well, but this time there was nobody reading that kick.
They've got to be more aware.
Kick, wasn't it? Scott Griggs tore it through to the in goal, but not one of his teammates went through to take advantage of that. And the coach dips his head in frustration.
Hold.
Yeah, that was probably... Well, they've only had 2 opportunities to test the Tongan defence, both from kicks. Now it's the Irish defence being tested. Cooper Vuna, did he lose that ball? Ireland looked to referee Steve Ganson, hopefully nothing doing. And very quickly, Ireland are on the back foot. It's just 4 tackles gone. Lialatu, Taufau. It's with Willie Manu. Willie Manu standing in the tackle, getting away from the tackle. Eventually he loses ground. And that's the 5th tackle. Felete Mateo is screaming for the ball here. He's going to hoist that one. It's right underneath the posts. They're all charging for it. And Paul Simpkins, the video ref, is going to have to adjudicate on this. And has Etu Wasile got the final touch to that kick. It was Felete Mateo who lofted it. The ball ricocheted around. And did the number 4 get the final touch? Were they onside? Was he onside?
Maybe touch and go either way, but a beautiful place kick from Mateo. And the crossbar was always going to be a problem. That went back there. And I think you'll find that that's a try.
No,
there's no real celebration amongst the Tongan players. They're stood waiting for the game to restart on the 10-metre line.
Well, that goes backwards from Jennings.
Wasile knocks on.
Oh, not so sure, Phil. That's bounced off Platt. I think he might have got this. As you say, there were not much celebration. and that is going backwards. Did it come off the chest? And as he just rolled it over. Well, it's a difficult one.
Well, Paul Simpkins is the video referee, the Australian official. He's having a good look at this one. Etu Wasile, the Newcastle Knights player, who played in the Federation Shield in England and in Europe back in 2006, claiming this try. I'm not convinced. Clarkie's not convinced.
Well, I don't think it's a try, Bill, but there isn't clear evidence to show a knock-on, so you'd tend to think that he may get the benefit of the doubt here in his favour.
I think you're right, Phil. I think he's got it down. It's not the prettiest try you'll ever see in the world. It'll be confirmation quite soon.
Has he got the second try of the game for Tonga? A scrappy one, if it is awarded.
2 feet.
No, he's an honest player. He knew he hadn't scored, Bill. I think he's waiting now to start to defend.
And no try will be the decision. Ireland and Tonga already know the outcome of that, and the 20-metre restart is a let-off for the Irish. A big let-off, because that kick was a dangerous one. Fantastically positioned kick from Folletti Matteo.
Well, they need, if possible, to put more pressure on Matteo when it comes to his kicks, don't they, down on that last tackle option. Somebody's got to get to him and take away some of the time, which will take away some of the accuracy.
Yeah, he had time to pick his spot with that one. And they get another penalty to the Irish. Not square this time.
Well, I think they'll start to lift here now. They go back to the point that their aerobic capacity could be greater than the Polynesian players against which they stand tonight. And the longer the game goes on, the more the odds even up.
And there is a World Cup veteran, the first touch for Mick Cassidy. 1995 he was involved in the World Cup. He's still going strong, Cassidy. And Doran gets the ball away to Sean Gleeson.
The
Wakefield man subdued. There is Mick Cassidy. And another penalty, and there's going to be somebody in the sin bin. And Steve Ganson's patience has run out. Not sure if it's Folletti Matteo who's going to the bin. No, it's Essie Tonga. And that is a 7-1 penalty count in favour of the Irish.
No, that's it. 10 minutes.
Let's get the Blarney Army excited on the far side of the ground here. They need to create something in this set. Haggerty charges forward, he's on the field.
Just 6-0 to Tonga. They've dominated opening proceedings here, but just the one tried to show for it. Littler. And they get another penalty. And Steve Ganson.
Number 4.
Well, he and Lapini Bai are on first name terms by now. They've had so many chats.
He won't be going to Tonga on his holidays in the next mid-season break, will he?
You're right there, Phil, because
you just can't put your hand right across
if this carries on, Tonga will finish up with about half a dozen.
Now look, don't get on to me about the things he's doing. All right, now you talk to the team.
And the captain,
We're winning the rock, right? You're not slowing in there.
just arguing the toss
speak to the team about discipline.
with the British official, who's just sent one of his teammates to the bin.
Wait.
It always makes me laugh when he says the captain, speak to your teammates about discipline. Has he got time to go the full width of the field and talk to them?
Well, it's another penalty for Ireland. Cassidy, and that was forward.
Well, Andy Kelly will be again furious. He'll be tearing his hair out with a penalty count so much in their favour, and they're coming up with stupid errors.
Okay.
Oh, was it a bit of a bite there?
Skipper, come on.
Aren't you? They always say if you put your fingers in the mouth, then you've got a chance of perhaps rubbing the teeth.
I'm not sure Stuart Littler had any option there, really, with the hand wedged between his teeth.
Can Ireland now, Bill, find any way of containing Tonga in some go forward? That's the question here. Look, Matteo just skips over there. Look at the dancing footwork to get him forward 10 metres.
Well, they're down to 12, but they still pose a threat, this Tongan side. And Ireland, their own worst enemy at the moment. They get into the danger zone and then they come up with an error like that. The forward pass immediately reducing the threat. Oh, and then the error comes from the Tongans, and Ireland have the ball back. They don't need to be silly with this. And Damien Blanche sensibly going to ground. They're on the charge with Lee Doran. Tackled. about 15 metres out. Griggs to Damien Blanche, he'll get the try in the corner. And the Wakefield Trinity Wildcat Damien Blanche combining with his teammate Scott Griggs to score the first try of the World Cup for Ireland. And Tonga are stunned. They really are stunned because they've been reduced to 12 men. They have a problem with the discipline. They're not getting on with referee Steve Ganson, and now they've conceded this try.
It's all about identifying opportunities, and Ireland do that so well here. A 3v2, 3 attackers, only 2 defenders, and you're asking the man with the ball to make the right pass selection. He does that, he puts that on the chest of Damien Blanche, to the delight of the Irish supporters here now. I think they've got something to celebrate finally after 26 minutes of this match.
Tremendous play by Scott Griggs. He knew that they were a little bit shallow on that short blind side. Remember, Tonga down to 12 men. And if there's any opportunity when you take the full advantage of having only 12 men, is to get the ball out wide. It was wonderful play by the standoff to go on that blind side.
So Pat Richards with this opportunity to level the scores. Super League's top point scorer for the last 2 seasons, Richards. Can he land this one? He's miscued that. A former Parramatta player, of course, in the early days of his career. Pat Richards off target there, but Damien Blanche on target, and that'll give Ireland great hope. They trail 6-4 now.
And I think the message, Bill, has to be they must play this next set with speed, if they possibly can here now, as Blanche just crashes over in the corner. I bet Pat Richards wished he'd come closer to the goalpost, but Andy Kelly knows now, with all that weight of possession, they had to come up with some points. And they now need to play with some real speed in this next set of 6 tackles. Again, most penalties in rugby league go to the side in possession. Ireland have that. If they can fight to play the ball quickly, there's every chance they will be awarded another one here by the referee Steve Ganson. And again, get upfield.
Brains trust in the Irish commentary box you saw there with Terry O'Connor alongside Andy Kelly, and Stevie Gibbons, I think, up there as well, doing the stats by the look of things. And it's Ireland. Their tails up now. And Michael McAlorum has come on, the hooker from the bench in place of Bob Bezic. So Tonga, well, they threatened early on, they looked really flash and fancy, but there's only 2 points in it as Griggs goes for the long kick downfield, and Jennings, operating in that deep roll, will run it back, looking to use his pace, but that's a good chase, and it was Griggs leading the way, 6 on his back and making the tackle. Talanoa.
Jennings can't get past the several defenders who work their way downfield for Ireland. Now then, can they keep them here at this point of the match? Almost half an hour into the game, are Ireland starting to win this arm wrestle?
And they're really up for it. Oh, but then that was high. That was high. Cassidy just getting a little bit exuberant.
Well, all that hard work and good opportunity to score the first try, and they really had this Tonga side under a lot of pressure. A silly play from an experienced player, probably the most experienced player out there on the park.
The most experienced player in the competition by most reckoning. Him and Stanley Jean.
Tell you what, these are some fierce charges forward here now. That one's Williams. And Leo Latu scuts out of dummy half on the back of it. The speed around the ruck's what's going to kill Ireland.
There's a problem for Haggerty. He's very groggy. You can see him getting back in the defensive line.
And Ireland desperately defending on their own 20-metre line. As Folletti Matteo takes the tackle, and he's knocked that ball on, and he's said something to the referee. And again, Steve Ganson not standing for that and awarding the penalty, and another 10. Oh, dearie me.
And that's what Ireland need to feed off, the frustration now in the Tongan camp. They expect it to be right running in points.
I've heard too much. Any more, you got, mate. Sort it out.
Well, we know that Steve Ganson carries a red card in his back pocket. Wouldn't be beyond him to pull it out here at some stage in this match. Cleto Mateo is frustrated with the attention in the tackle. He loses the ball, and then eventually, having questioned the decision for so long, conceded 2 penalties.
Oof, big hit. And Tavita Leolatu went looking there. And Lee Doran, fortunately for him, I think was already going to ground when Leolatu came in. I wonder if Steve Ganson's forgotten his travel pillow, you know. He takes a travel pillow with him wherever he goes. He's very, very particular about it, but if he doesn't get his sleep, he can be a bit crabby. But it's Ireland on the attack. That was forward, was it? Or is it the try? Ireland celebrates.
Well, it looked forward, but they can't go to the screen for the forward pass. And it looks as though he's got it down. Did it squeeze out? It certainly went forward. How was it propelled? That's what they've got to find out, but it makes no difference.
It's Michael Platt who was on the end of that fantastic break from the Irish.
He scores it eventually,
well, he
back
hasn't got
on
it
his
down
right-hand
yet.
side. He comes back this way, Steve-O. He scores it eventually. It's how long you determine. He comes back and grounds the ball back that way towards the try line.
Well, there's the ball carrying arm. Has it been dead? He's moving there, so that's fine. That's fine. That's fine. And that's... Ooh, I think I'd give this. But the build-up to that looks slightly forward, but either way, the Irish eyes will be smiling.
Paul Simpkins then with the call, the video ref tonight, as Michael Platt got his second try for Ireland, his second try in Irish colours. And did he get that ball down in time? The try is awarded and Ireland take the lead. Unbelievable. They took a hammering early on here, but they've come hammering back.
One of the best pieces of skill in this World Cup, the pass there from Haggerty onto the chest of his teammate, eventually kept alive with Fitzpatrick, then onto Platt, who does manage to ground the ball. You have to rise your luck in this tournament, and Ireland perhaps do that here. Finnegan's pass there to Fitzpatrick, and then onto Platt, but I love the ball from Haggerty. Gareth Haggerty running at the line and then throwing that 5-metre pass out to Finnegan. That's what created just the gaps and the ability then for Ireland to be able to offload the ball and Platt eventually score.
Pat Richards failed with his first attempt. That was from way out wide. This one should be a formality for a kicker of his calibre. And Ireland ahead by 10 points to 6. Not many people anticipated this after half an hour.
Well, they've certainly been helped along the way, haven't they, with a penalty count that is against the guys from Tonga. And the Irish eyes are very, very, very much smiling. But this looked forward to me. You could see that the try scorer was half a metre at least in front. But they won't worry about it. You can see the big grin on Andy Kelly's face, saying, well, we've got a little bit of a look.
Well, what an upset here, and Tonga must certainly feel that everything's going against them at the moment. The court's ruling against them, well, against them as far as today goes, and then the penalty count against them, 10-2, the penalty count in Ireland's favour. A man in the sin bin. A, shall we say, contentious decision there leading up to that try. Ireland won't care. The Blarney army over there on the far side will be overjoyed by this. Ireland have been doing a very good PR job in this part of the world and in Sydney, just courting the big Irish community. And those who've come here to the Parramatta Stadium this evening will be delighted by what they're seeing. Real Irish guts out there.
Well, sometimes the team get control in a game, and Ireland have that now, but it's important that they maintain the concentration to keep a control of their opponents here. We've seen the danger that Tonga possess if they get close to Ireland's try line. But theirs is, again, a very conservative approach. One pass plays inside their own half.
Tonga back on, they're back to 13. It's important now that Ireland keep them off. Make sure they don't concede any more points before half-time.
Tavita Leolatu running across the field. His Wakefield club colleague Gleeson gets a hold of him and eventually makes the tackle. Well, that's good defence from the Irish. They're ganging up on Willie Manu.
That's one thing that Andy Kelly has sorted out. In the opening 15 minutes, their defence was all at sea.
And again, Folletti Matteo just has time to put the kick in. This one's not such a good one. And Pat Richards takes the ball and then gives it to Michael Platt. And Platt gets away from one and gets it back to Richards. And Richards will take him on. Jennings is hounding him down. Back comes Esi Tonga. And eventually they manage to bring Richards down. But Ireland on the attack now. It's with Platt. Platt finds Fitzpatrick. Fitzpatrick up the middle. And the attack comes to a halt. But Ireland still haven't finished. Finnegan it was who was tackled, plays the ball. Griggs now. Griggs finds Richards. Richards, Gleeson, oh, and Blanche couldn't take the pass.
It was ricocheted off. Michael Jennings, I feel. Did he go for the ball deliberately? Not according to the official. Great work from Platt. Richards knew he didn't have the legs, but he had the wherewithal to make sure that they kept possession, and when they came down on this short blind side, Richards sends it away, and you can see Gleeson and his opposite number, Jennings, just gets her fingertips to it. Wow.
So a let-off for the Tongans. And will that come back to haunt the Irish? And a fantastic break out of defence, and Platt and Richards leading the way. That's good work from Folletti Matteo.
It is, Bill, but I tell you something, he's got to keep his mouth shut. He was actually shouting to Ganson, the referee, saying they're offside, sir, they're offside. Get on with playing. Let Ganson do the refereeing.
Tavita Leolatu stopped in his tracks by Mike McAlorum there. The kick from Joel Talfo. And Platt is under a bit of pressure. The chaser was Etu Wasile, I think. Or was it Cooper Vuna?
It was Vuna.
Cooper Vuna on the chase, and Platt was dithering.
He certainly got contact, but was it sufficient? Is there controlled downward pressure? They're all on side. Forget about that. That's okay. They're all behind. Tafau and Platt. What on earth was he doing? That's a try.
It was Cooper
Vuna
on the chase, and Paul Simpkins is the video ref. He's had a busy night already.
That's it. Fingertips. That's all you need.
Oh.
What an error from Michael Platt. Wasting time there. And you can see the fingers on it. And in my book, that is sufficient.
And Platt reacting, just realising too late. Realising too late that Cooper Vuna was there, sticking a boot out. And has he got the try?
Well, in about a minute, we've gone diagonally across the field from a near chance which Ireland should have scored in this corner to a one which I believe Tonga have scored in the far corner. And Cooper Vuna has lifted his teammates. They haven't had much of the ball in this first half, but this will make it 10-all.
The try is awarded. And the Tongans celebrate, and Ireland's joy is short-lived, and they just took their eye off the ball then, and Platt almost literally taking his eye off the ball.
He has a tendency to do this, Bill, to try and wait to let the ball go over the dead-end goal line. But he really should have got to this. He has all the experience. That should have been kicked all the way back down the Parramatta Road to Sydney. And Vuna celebrates, and why wouldn't you?
Tell you, that reminded me of Gareth Rayner's try against the Kiwis when Sam Perrett at full-back for them dithered and didn't realise that Rayner was coming up on him, and Rayner got the touchdown, and Cooper Vuna's done exactly the same thing to Michael Platt. And Ireland's lead, like their joy, could be short-lived, but that kick is wide of the posts. 10 points apiece. Nevertheless, given the fact that Ireland were expected to take a hammering here tonight, 10-10, this stage of the game, Jim Dimmock with a lot to think about for his Tongan side, not least the discipline problem. Coming up to half-time, these two sides are level in this first game in Pool 3. Next up on Friday, the big one. And it will be big. Tonga against Samoa in Penrith.
Well, I happen to think that the next 3 minutes are a big 3 minutes here for Ireland. If they can't maintain the concentration, I've got a feeling that Tonga could go the length of the field again and score. This is a real test now for Irish concentration. They must maintain that. People getting onside, working hard to close down the Tongan outfit. And here a penalty is just exactly what the Tongans and their supporters in this stadium were pleading for.
Well, it juggled and bounced around, which allowed Ireland 5 to 10 meters opportunity, but it's just messing around. It's silly play. Scott Griggs, he shakes his head, but gone as the opportunity.
The Tonga have the ball back. And they're just inside their own 40-meter line. And they get another penalty, and you can sense that Ireland just panicking a little bit, just feeling a bit of the pressure now.
Well, the one thing you do know if you watch enough rugby league games is that penalty counts tend to even themselves out by the time we get to the end of the match. And that means that Tonga are about to receive one or two. Here's the second one they've received. I said this was a crucial 3-minute period here for Ireland. 2 penalties have taken the Tongan side to less than 40 metres now from the Irish line.
And into the last couple of minutes of this first half. 10 points apiece, the scoreline here at the Parramatta Stadium. And Tonga on the attack with Hull's Willie Manu. Tackled on that 20-metre line. Kimi Wasi has come off the bench, he's wearing 17. Oh, lovely hands there from Foleti Matteo, back on the inside. It was Tony Williams who took the pass. Now here's Kimi Wasi again. And Tonga looking to re-establish their lead just before we get to half-time. Foleti Matteo, 2 dummy runners, takes them on himself. There's the number 6, the Parramatta player, on his own ground, and they get a penalty.
Well, there's just less than a minute to go. Will they take the tap, or will they take the 2 points on offer? It looks like they're going to go for the 2. They'll be happy to go into the sheds at half-time with a lead. That certainly didn't look as though it's going to be that way. Ireland, for the last 15 minutes, were in full control of this game, especially with the fact when Tonga was down to 12 men. And now, Andy Kelly will be shaking his head and saying, why?
Well, they might be thinking, oh, 2 points, it could have been an awful lot worse.
I agree, I think that's massive relief here. With 2 back-to-back penalties, and Tonga looking, well, bulletproof, weren't they, the way they were running at that point?
Yeah. If it just ends up with Joel Taufo landing this, 12-10, I'm sure Ireland will think, well, we've stuck it to them in that first half, we've stood our ground. And they have done. They've had 1 or 2 breaks, but they, for their own part, have had opportunities, notably that opportunity when Damien Blanche couldn't take the pass from Sean Gleeson. That would have extended their lead. But as it is, it's Joel Taufo. A lad from Adelaide, round the corner kicking style, lands that one. And Tonga do get the lead. They get the lead back. They threaten to have an even bigger lead, having started like an express train. Early try from Jennings, 6-0 it was. We thought, uh-oh, here we go. But Ireland have hung in there. They've even held the lead at one point. But at half-time, Tonga just have their noses in front. They lead by 12 points to 10